Art is a truly global language that can change our perceptions about the world we live in. In today's lineup, opera takes centre stage in Botswana. Posters in Lebanon, is it art or propaganda? And unusual sounds from the forests of Finland.
Hello there and welcome to Arts World. I'm Julie MacDonald and we're here in the Parisian suburbs to meet a young French writer of Algerian origin who's become something of a literary sensation. Her novels have sold in 27 countries and she writes in a sort of Arabic French slang that's very commonplace here in the banlieue. I'm here to meet the woman behind the books.
These are scenes from a short film set in one of the poorer suburbs of Paris. The film is made by a workshop made up of young people living on the estate who call themselves the troublemakers. And this young woman on the left, Faiza Gwen, is one of them. And she has now made her mark in France as a writer.
La serveuse sympathique qui se fait appeler Josiane m'a apporté mon café serré avec le genre de sourire qui donne envie de revenir même si le petit noir est dégueulasse. Curieuse, elle m'a demandé ce que je pouvais bien écrire avec cet air si concentré. Alors je me suis inventé toute une vie. Je me suis imaginé être quelqu'un d'important pour voir ce que ça faisait dans les yeux d'une personne que je ne connaissais pas. Depuis que je me souviens, vraiment quand j'étais toute...
As long as I can remember from a really young age, I enjoyed writing. In fact, the apartment we were living in when I was a child was very run down and damp, with old doors in the cupboards, and I used to write on them. Writing made me happy. And I think I was used to listening to stories because in my house, even though we didn't have bookshelves filled with books, we told a lot of stories. In our culture, it's not about the written word, it's about the oral tradition.
At 17, a chance meeting in the film workshop led to her first book called Just Like Tomorrow. It's the story of a young girl's life growing up on an estate, much like where Faiza lived, touching on the issues affecting immigrant communities in France. That book sold 350,000 copies and has since been followed by 2 more.
Donc le troisième livre, en fait, c'est à propos de...
The third book is about a remote village at the end of the railway track, with people who have seemingly boring lives. But in fact, they have social problems and poverty. And while it isn't about immigration or North Africans, for me, it's still about the same thing, because it's about France down there, as we say over here. It's not about heroes.
Even as Faiza Gwen shifts her focus away from these specific issues, she finds herself pigeonholed by the establishment. This film by the young filmmakers on the estate parodies the media's fixation with their problems.
Au tout début, quand j'ai publié mon premier livre, on m'a proposé de faire partie
At the beginning, when I was first published, I was asked to take part in working groups about the issues of discrimination, immigration and integration in the suburbs. But I refused every time. They always send a government representative from the different ministries who are called Ahmed or Fatima to talk to me as if I need to have a go-between who resembles me in order to understand what they want. In any case, I think everyone should stick to what they know. I'm a writer, and what's more, I write fiction.
Faiza has stayed doing what she knows, in the area she knows, where she met her husband Hervé, a musician from the Ivory Coast.
I was very surprised to realize that some people think that we don't even love each other in these places, you know? They thought it's just like in a movie, in a war movie, always fighting and violence. It's just an ordinary life, but with some money problems and some social problems, and that's all.
Faiza's parents still live in the area where she grew up and which inspired her books.
Since she was a little girl, she did everything. Drawing, singing, she did it all. We knew she would make it one day.
Still only 23, Faiza won't accept the role of spokesperson, but does have strong words to describe France's relationship with its immigrant communities.
Je veux dire par là que
What I want to say with the phrase, the bastard children of France, is that France is like a mother that doesn't treat all her children the same.
The
problem is that in France, there's a fear of different communities. They say in France we're all the same, all equal, but these communities exist. And if you refuse to recognize them, to me, that's hypocritical.
A new arts venue has opened in Botswana for local performers. Everything from traditional dance to opera is on offer. It's called the #1 Ladies Opera House, named after a best-selling series of novels based in Botswana.
Gaborone, Botswana's capital city, home to about 180,000 people. While unemployment runs high here, diamonds and tourism are central to the country's economy. Boyce Beklang works as a diamond polisher in a state-of-the-art processing plant in the city.
It's lovely to work here. That I just started 4 months ago. I've always wanted to touch a diamond. Now I have that moment to touch it, work with it.
While Boyce certainly enjoys his day job, singing opera is his real passion.
I started singing when I was around 5 years. When primary, I was singing. Junior school, the best tenor ever. High school, the best tenor. Every fortnight, we're having shows. At first, the people around Gaborone, they find it weird because this is not our style to sing the Western music. Right now, they're getting used to it because now we are well known. It's touching, lovely. I enjoy singing it. It suits my voice. And very soon we'll be singing this kind of songs in Setswana.
The 3 Tswana tenors, as Boyce and his fellow singers are called, are managed by David Slater, who's been teaching and playing music in Gaborone for 15 years. He co-owns and runs Botswana's new arts venue, the #1 Ladies Opera House on the outskirts of the city.
The #1 Ladies Opera House came out of a curious chance meeting I had with Alexander McCall-Smith, the author of the #1 Ladies Detective Agency series. And I told him that I'd seen this building. He said, you know what? We're going to make that into an opera house. You're the first opera house in Botswana.
To sustain itself financially, the opera house functions as a restaurant by day. But by night, it is a vibrant venue for music, drama, dance, and even poetry readings. One of the most popular acts performing at the #1 Ladies Opera House is Gaborone's legendary Mogoana dance troupe.
I started Mogoana in 1991. I was looking for something that can take children off the street and motivate them towards their learning in school. Mogoana group is the only traditional dance group in the country that aspires to perform all traditional dances that are found in our various communities in Botswana. The dance itself, it's beautiful. It gives me a very wonderful feeling. But when I take it as a tool that I'm using to project the culture and feelings of the people, it brings me closer to other cultures, to other communities that I would otherwise not even understand. I have found myself being some kind of a catalyst in the promotion of traditional song and dance. So I've taken upon myself that the group that I lead should make that contribution. These children have learned to judge competitions, they've learned to coach, so they go all over the country where they're invited to go and do some coaching to different groups. Your turn, guys. Yes, that's good. Huh? Feel the rhythm and the spirit.
For 10 years, I was with Moana traditional dance. To be a part of Moana, I feel good because always they advise me to do that, don't do that. You see, this group is my parents. No mistake, no pain. Let's go.
Art is life. If we get involved in art and in the performing arts, our appreciation grows and we begin to change our mindset and begin to look at things differently. And in an emerging Botswana where there is so much unemployment, people can make use of their talent and knowledge and skill to create things that can actually give them a living. I think the future is very great. You can't associate with this project and not begin to see light at the end of the tunnel. I think greater things are there to come.
It would seem that around every corner in Paris, music and art are just waiting there to take you by surprise. We're going to take a break right now, but when we come back, we're heading to Finland to meet a group of musicians making rather unusual sounds. Then we'll be asking the question of whether political posters in Lebanon are really art. We hope you join us when we come back. Welcome back. Here in Paris, in the artistic quarter, vintage poster shops like this one are extremely popular. In South Lebanon, though, hand-painted posters of men who've been killed in combat are commonplace. Now, they're not exactly everybody's idea of art, but they are a deadly serious business.
Advertising billboards are everywhere in Beirut. The posters reveal a consumer society keen on a Western lifestyle and fashion. But driving south out of the city, the street posters begin to change their tone. Here in South Lebanon, it is the hand-painted portraits of young men that are most in view. These are known as martyr posters, honoring men killed in the conflict with Israel.
When Israel invaded, it killed these martyrs, so we created portraits of them, on the walls and in our hearts.
Some may find the posters unsettling, glorifying war and death. But for much of the local population, such posters carry quite an impact.
Yeah, of course I consider it art. Anything that's painting, especially of a person, you know, in remembrance, of course it's art.
One of the most well-known painters of martyr posters in South Lebanon is Musa Trad.
I don't just paint martyrs, I also paint still life. But by coincidence, I began painting martyrs at the same time the resistance started and the war, and people dying. We shouldn't forget them.
Musa has hand-painted hundreds of martyr posters throughout his life. Symbolism is an important part in his paintings.
I like to add a flower in every martyr painting. It represents martyrdom. It's my own style. People immediately recognize my paintings. With the colors I use, I revive the martyr, as if to bring him back to life.
Lebanese militias, as well as the families of men killed, commission the posters in order to remember their dead. Wajih Muhammad Ali also produces martyr posters. At his garage in South Lebanon, he may use the airbrush on cars, but for his posters, he now travels to Beirut to use the latest digital printers.
In Beirut, there's more freedom. They are more inventive. After all, we are working in a commercial art form, and we have to keep up with the market. We don't have this know-how in the South.
Wajih admits that technology is taking the creativity out of his painting.
It cancelled everything that is art and the artist, and replaced manpower with the machine.
This is what traditional hand painters like Musa are up against. It's the printing press Hezbollah is now using to run off hundreds of its own political posters.
Our aim is to have a unified campaign so all our posters have one identity.
Whether it's propaganda or art, Hezbollah makes the most of digital technology to convey its message. Hezbollah are media savvy and understand their potential audience extends beyond their Shia Muslim constituency in Lebanon.
The eyes of the world are on us, so we're not just interested in targeting local neighborhoods in Lebanon. Even Europeans are now interested in our situation and who we are.
Hezbollah's more high-tech posters could mean local painters will soon find themselves with less work on their hands.
All these computer-generated posters, they don't mean anything to me. They don't give me anything.
But Wajih maintains a philosophical outlook.
I wonder who might paint my portrait when I die. We are all martyrs to be.
For our next story, we head to Finland, where a new generation of musicians is attracting worldwide attention with their unusual sounds. Now, the music is a little bit of a mix of the old, the new, and the something quite unexpected, all inspired by the haunting beauty of their surroundings.
I will use just like some little tiny sounds and maybe a bit vocals and something really quiet. For me in music, what is important is it's like the emotions that it can present or capture or like affect. Like it's a highly emotional thing. The music that we make. We don't know what's going to happen when we start to play. You never know if it's going to work really or not.
I know it's good if I'm a bit scared of hearing it because it feels like I didn't do it. Like it was, and it's kind of surprising.
That's the greatest moment when you're recording and you're like, wow, like this sounds so good. I can't believe it. And that's the reward. We got really a lot of like media attention for being Finnish, and we got this category of forest folk and free folk and new weird Finland or whatever, and it's always dangerous when you get put in a small box and like hyped, because that means that after 1 year that's not cool anymore. And that's not what this is about. We are not trying to be cool. We are trying to just have fun and make music.
Whenever you try an instrument, you try it out, I can easily like find the sound that I like the most. Yeah, you can hear there's a little whistle there with the low sound, so like that's really interesting to me. I don't know if that's like the correct way to do it or the wrong way to do it, but if I hear something like that, that's what I get interested in.
It would be hard for me to imagine to play in a band with drum, bass and guitar. Because there's so much more more sounds in the world.
That is it for this week. We do hope you'll join us again for another episode of Arts World. Bye-bye.